I'm logged into Agile Issue Management as a supply chain planner at Reading Pharmaceutical. What I'm looking at here is my homepage, which profiles all of my open issues across all of my suppliers. I can look at the issue categories, the supplier name, supplier contact, the material and material description of the impacted product, and the last activity and who touched the issue last. And of course, a due date when I want the issue resolved by. On the left-hand side, my company has certain criteria noting what we consider to be a high priority issue or what makes an issue escalated to my management. Any one of my team or my supplier's team can opt in to follow an issue, receive alerts and notifications, and be able to see exactly where we are in the process. Opening up a particular issue, my supplier, my API supplier, has notified me that they cannot provide my normal 1,000 kilogram order of API this month, and instead can only source 200 kilograms for me. My sourcing organization has gone out and has been able to obtain the balance through smaller lot quantities from 3 or 4 different sub-suppliers or secondary suppliers of that product. This is going to create some challenges for me. That particular product I allocate out to internal sites as well as CMO sites to make the product. So I'm going to have to think about how I'm going to need to change my batch sizes. I can't mix that API because we discovered it's got different granulation particle sizes, and that's going to create changes in formulation, changes in batch size, changes in compression, and perhaps in my formulation ratios for the product. So I've got some changes and some other issues that I need to deal with. So what I've done here is profiled the issue. In supplier issue tracking, I've captured the impacted sites, the responsible parties on either side, what type of event it is, it's a material shortage, and been able to say it's an API, it's chemical, subcategories chemical API, and I've given a description of that problem right there. I'm able to profile the issue impact, so which sites of mine, either internal or external sites, are impacted by this, what's the item code and description, and why do I consider this a high priority manufacturing disruption, extended time to resolve. Yeah, this is going to create some issues for me. Down here, I've captured some more information about the particular material, the part number for supplier material part number, which is different from mine, just so we're all on the same page. Now, down below is where the collaborative nature of this application comes into play. I'm able to invite my supplier in here and their team to look at the same information and create a dialogue and a correspondence about this particular issue. So starting at the bottom here, I've provided the initial comment. My supplier at my CMO has come back and said, yeah, I think I understand the situation, but I have a few questions. I've responded to him. I can attach documents. For example, I've given him the ship confirmations of the multiple batches of API that he's going to have come inbound, so we can start to track them and know when they're going to get delivered to his site, and so on and so forth. I can come together with our respective teams on an initial response to how we're going to resolve this problem, and also document and capture my final response. Because this is happening at multiple sites, I can also create sub-issues to allow my CMO and my internal site to both manage this independently according to their own SOPs. I look at the history of who touched the issue, as well as look at who on my team or the supplier's team is following the issue and wants to receive automated notifications and alerts about the issue. So this particular issue is going to have a ripple effect and create the need to do change controls. So I'm looking at a similar screen here where I have open all of my outstanding change controls across all of my suppliers. I can see what the material categories are, its packaging, delivery mechanism, finished goods, etc. The top 2 are relevant to this particular issue of short API. So I can see my one change control is changing the batch size. The second one here is multiple formulation changes that we have to navigate through. Supplier name, supplier contact, the managing group in my organization and who owns the change, and then I can look at the impacted sites and impacted products, change status, and due date. So if I open up this particular issue, Same concept here. I've documented information about the change description, what material category it is, who's responsible for this, supplier name, change numbers, anything, any reference IDs or numbers that we might call this. I've captured the change impact here. In this particular example, actually, this is with my internal site because we're managing this change process between my site and headquarters. But this can certainly be with an external party as well. So the dialogue here is between my site lead and myself in terms of collaborating on this particular change. I'm reminding him of the formulation guidelines for that particular product, and he has some questions on it. I've been able to provide a link here right to the original issue. I can update the sites and products, and again, I can look at history and followers of this particular issue. So what we've accomplished here in Agile Issue Management is creating the community, creating a team-based collaboration where everyone knows what they're supposed to do, everyone knows the next step, everyone knows the process, and everyone, including my management or management on the supplier, knows each step that needs to be performed or executed in order to resolve this process. You can't do that in email, phone calls, and other ad hoc forms of communication. Thank you.